Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. So we'll just let everybody funnel in and then we can begin. Ton to really go over. Besides all the great earnings last week, I really got to focus on what's coming up this week because there's a lot coming up. So we'll get into it. Uh, let's just give it a couple minutes, let everybody funnel in. And I'm not sure what the turnout will actually be considering it is Halloween night, but probably pretty good still. If you have kids, I guess you'd be out if they're younger, but we'll see. See who all funnels in. So for me, there's a litany of ideas to go over, and just to start covering some because there's so many. The ZI, we have earnings Monday night. Okay, and so you could actually see this. This is actually setting up a little bit. Actually seeing the setup, getting ready to go here. So I would not be overly surprised to see this start to move or get to the top of this before earnings if you're looking for a short-term trade. It's probably there. It's definitely something to watch tomorrow. It'll probably move on the earnings. And I like to throw these in real quick. But what's interesting too is it's always nice to see how it acted, right? So this was earnings. This is where you opened. So it does gap up on earnings. Even here, sold down, but we did gap up. So one to watch tomorrow for sure. So hey, Ro, SYNA. Sure. I have a list I want to go over, but I'll throw it in as people have ideas. Yeah, I mean that's definitely interesting, isn't it, Ro? Like you have earnings coming up when? The 5th, 4th? So you're gonna have to kind of watch that. What's your volume like? Yep. See how your volume's picking up here? It's kind of hard to see, but your RSI is over 50 and your volume's really picking up here. And that's exactly what you want to see. So let's focus on that for a moment. And let's look at this relative volume. Yep. So even your relative volume's picking up. I mean, it looks good. Your real issue is that you're dealing with this before earnings. So you have to buy it before earnings. Tomorrow's the 1st. The 4th is what? Wednesday? So Thursday? You just have to think about that. I'm not sure that you're going to want to do that, earn it before earnings, but that looks great. It really does. Maybe you could trade it before earnings and then get back into it. Let's just keep going. So, hi, Cena. So, shop call. Let's do it. So shop at the end of the day, let's just get rid of this and keep going. So here you are, right? You're riding that all the way down and you're sitting at this level. I think it's really important to watch where you're sitting, right? Because like even pre and post, it doesn't matter, Cena. So you have an issue here and it's rejecting that issue so far, right? So what you need to have happen is you need to have a little patience. You need to wait a little bit. And by wait, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to sit down and kind of wait until you get at least above this wick, right? This wick is 1504.71. This one is 1506. Could you break out and then not break this wick? It's possible. You probably don't need to wait for that. The other setup that you could possibly see tomorrow is another day. See how your close is higher than the previous close, even though it's an inside day. So what you could see is you could start to see us working our way up. And then if we work our way up and have another inside day, you could actually use this high because I doubt you're going to break that and then not push. But that could go, but you're going to have to give it some time. You're going to have to see and wait for some kind of impetus because if not, and you just execute, you could base here. See how these wedges are set up? You could just base here to here, right? You're at 3 weeks before it has to do something, right? So I would wait on that a little bit. I have tons. This is so funny. I'll get to that in a minute. BT was interesting close. It's Friday. Let's take a look. See what's going on there. BTBT. So, yeah, I mean, that's obviously very interesting considering the circumstances. I'm not so sure why it got all the love that it got at the end of the day, but it definitely got it. Did that whole group get it? A little bit. Not really, right? That's very interesting. I don't know why that happened, but it definitely happened. Did you do it on volume? Oops, I'm sorry. Did you do it on any volume? Let's see. Relative volume. Now, you did it on very light volume. It's a nice move, though. I mean, it really is. Looks like you sold off at post market, but definitely something to watch. I mean, I don't know why it did that, but it did do it. Um, and getting above that level is huge. If you can stay above that level, that's big. You haven't been able to do that, right? You did it here and you went. So possibly this is setting up for something. So, you know, yeah, you just got to watch with the earnings. I mean, you really do. You have to watch because you don't want to be stepping in front of something like that, right? And then you just don't, because you just don't know how they're going to do. Evening. I do a budget to work with 1% per week, and the account gains good starter goal. Easy to go. Going to take the leap. Sounds great, Robert. I mean, stay in touch with me. Let me know how I could help. Hey, what's going on, Timo? METC. Let's get to it. METC. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, that one looks great, right? That looks great. Yeah, you're running into earnings again, though. I mean, this one's November 2nd. So, you got to be out by Tuesday or you have earnings risk. And I'm not saying that the earnings, I'm not saying, Ro, that the earnings aren't going to be good. I'm saying we have no idea what they're going to be. So based upon that, you're just gambling. I mean, if you were in here and then it did this, then you'd be okay. But with earnings coming up, I would watch that. It's not something I'd be rushing into. Let's just keep going here. I know we're going to have a ton already. So do what UPS did. Any concerns fundamentally? I actually did a whole talk on this the other day in the educational call, Brett. I don't know if you were in there or not, but the issue is that this may be the new leader, and people might just not understand that yet. This number crushed, and it seems to me that when you see something like that, and see how this is just me doing this for years and years and years, and I could just tell you this: there are people that are very good about going through the fundamental earnings reports, and they really dive very deep into them. And it's quite possible that they looked into, Lending Club, and the fact that Lending Club services their loans and UPST does not. It very well could be a case where they're eating their lunch, so to speak. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because I didn't do the fundamental work. But what I would note is that this 21-day has not been broken. We have not closed over that 21-day since this began. So that's a clear sign to me to stay away from that. This is a bear flag. I said this and I got a little, and I just have people that disagreed with me, which is fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I said, I don't really see how this is going to drive UPST on Lending Club. And people gave me a bunch of facts. I don't know enough about the story. All I would say to you is one of these is breaking out and going higher, and the other one looks like it's rolling. So I would just be really careful. I'd focus on Lending Club, and I do it on pullbacks. This is exactly the move that you're looking for, right? I mean, this is what you want to see. That's the move. That's when you buy it. And it did that. And you could have executed there quite easily, actually. So something to think about. But let's just remove that line out. And you can use that low as your stop. But that's really what you're dealing with. So, but I do like it. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all over NVIDIA right now. Like NVIDIA is probably the second, you know, in my trading account, probably my second largest position. But let's just focus on this for a minute. I mean, look, this is what you're dealing with. Okay. So, I mean, to me, this is just a absolute, you know, no brainer. To me, I absolutely, you know, I really like it, but you got to make a decision on what you want to do in the space. I really like the space a lot. Okay. And I think that this is something that you need to, focus on, you know, focus on the space. I think this stock looks like it's ready to blast off, frankly. You know, we have 2 positions in it from the newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter, there's a free copy in the description. It will be in this description tonight. But more importantly, like I even added another buy point on Friday in the trading room, because I'm looking at this, and I know these patterns pretty well. And when I see them and they execute like this, they can go. So I think that could really go. The thing that SML has really going for it is that earnings are behind it. Okay, we come out with the earnings. And since the earnings, this is what you've done. Let's get rid of this and the data. So here's your reversal, right? Where this body completely encompasses that body. Well, that's a bullish reversal, bullish engulfing reversal right there. Okay. And then you have a gap down and a gap up. So now you have an island gap reversal, right? You usually need 4 or 5 days for something like that, but the pattern's still there. Come out, wick. We don't break those wicks though. We started breaking them and then we don't. So I think ASML. I think ASML could definitely get to the top of this range. I just don't think it's going to have. The reason I haven't really been pounding the table on it is because, and it's a great company. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's your range, and I think that NVIDIA could be doing that. You know, like a week. You know what I mean? So to me, it just makes more sense for me to be in NVIDIA. And let me go here to recently viewed so that we can pull up what we need. So, but I would focus on ASM. I would focus on NVIDIA out of that entire group. That's funny. I know I put MCT oil in there sometimes. There's actually flavored MCT oils now. They're actually not bad. Airbnb and Zillow. So you're just kind of wedged in here. You have earnings coming up. You know, it seems to me that with traveling that they should do well, but technically that doesn't really look like it's going anywhere. So I'd want to see something before I get involved. I mean, here's the top. Look, let's get rid of this and we'll clear these out. Here's the top of your wick, right? This is the top of your wick. And look how you've just been basing here. Let's get rid of this for a moment. Okay, we can actually get rid of all segment lines. We can actually get rid of, let's just get rid of all horizontal lines for a moment and focus on this. Because what you're seeing is you had a little angle like this, right? It's still slanted. There's still an angle there. And now we're doing this. Well, that's not the best thing. When the trajectory of your move starts to change, you really don't like that, right? I'm not usually a fan of when something does that. And then, you know, this one, right, you're here, and this one kind of steps up, doesn't it? Let's click right on that again and throw this up. And this one kind of steps up, right? So now you have a minor one inside of this major one. And then you have these up here. So it's going to have to do something. What that something is, I have no idea. It's not going to stay here, right? You're not going to wedge in like that and stay there. It's not going to happen. So you're going to have to give that some time to work itself out. Every time I buy it, it's a failed breakout. So I'm just waiting for more of a signal before I buy it. I've attempted it here. I've attempted it here. And every single time I get a reversal pattern, right? There's your reversal there. There's your reversal pattern here. So why bother? I mean, I won't say why bother, because I always go back to ideas, but I would just be careful. Zillow. So in regards to Zillow, you have a lot of people that are looking at this name. I get a lot of questions about it. It actually looks fairly decent. You're just coming into earnings again, so you're going to have to make a decision. I don't know how they do on earnings. I really don't. But this here, hold on, let's get rid of this. This cross is perfect. And you're above, like if you get to this and you look right here, okay, you are above everything that you need to be above. And that's exactly what you need to see. That's exactly what you're looking for. So you're doing everything right. It's just a question of, do you want to buy it before earnings? And that's a question only you can answer. I'm not buying something like this before earnings. This is what happened last time earnings came out, right? So I'm not saying that that's going to happen again. Nobody knows, but I'm just simply saying that you really got to be careful about jumping into something before earnings without fully understanding what kind of risk you're taking. That's why it's so important to try to get up in them and up in them before earnings so you can stay in them for that. Oh, yeah, I did. It's put it on. Thanks. I appreciate it, Isaac. RBLX. Well, this one, I mean, we can look at the chart, but the chart is going to be different than what happens, right, on Friday. So I actually tried this on Friday, and it didn't work. It failed. And you can see the failure, right? It's written all over it, right? So here you try to break out, bonk, 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 tries again. This time it's really going to go, not so fast, and then it breaks down. Now, the site's, I don't know, is the site back up? The site was down for like 24 hours. That's not going to be a ringing endorsement to people to jump into this name off the open. They just lost a lot of money. So, and I don't see another date. Let me see if I can find another date. Yeah, you don't have to worry about earnings until Christmas. So you're good there. But I don't like this pattern, and I don't like those rejections. And when you start seeing them here, and you keep seeing them, it makes you want to stay away. It just means that they're kind of walking us down, right? So I would just stay away until it confirms. I really thought it was going to go on Friday. It just didn't. So I just got out of the way. And I think I'll be okay doing that, considering usually I'll do that if it's like a starter position and I'm down in it. I just won't even stay in it. I'll just regroup on, next week with it. And now you know why it was down. Maybe internally leaked that they were having issues with their site. Or they were, who knows? But either way, it was down. And it failed, MDB. And you don't really want to put your money in things that are not working, right? You want your money to constantly be making you money. I like this. I like this a lot. I think this has potential. I really do. I like when you're in between here. I like when you've been basing for a period of time. This has been basing. If you come straight across and just look, you've been basing here, right? Let's call it 0. But you've been basing for about 2 months. I mean, that's exactly what you want to do, right? That's exactly what you're looking for. I mean, you have an 8-week base, and now you're going to break out of it. And here's your, and here's your kind of Morningstar pattern right off the 21 day that you're now respecting, right? You put the 8 in and see where that leaves you. Yep. So, I mean, everything's lining up perfectly there. Really is. So just do this really quickly. I was curious about something. Yeah. No, right. Okay. So, but let's see what happens with it. I like it. I think it's a buy. I really do. I mean, it's doing everything right. So, I mean, get above and go. I like it. So, yeah, open. I mean, the thing about, oh, you know what? I just realized that this isn't on. It probably was not on from earlier. It's kind of, they put the watermark on for those people that are on their mobile. Yeah, I mean, like, look, you're seeing the volume pick up, but we're not seeing enough here, right? Like, you have earnings November 10th. You're just not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. Now, that's not the worst thing if we're waiting and building a base and being patient. And that's what we're doing. We're just waiting. We're up like $1. It's not much. But what's important about it is at least we're up a little bit while we try to figure out what's going on. And you just let these averages kind of work themselves out. Right now, the 8's just flatlining. So if it starts pointing down, that's not going to be ideal. That would probably mean the chances of us getting stopped out are probably pretty good, right? If the 8 starts pointing down. But you do have this golden cross right here that looks like it's going to happen, where the 50 is going to cross the 200. And that's really what you want to see. So I do like that. mRNA, I mean, look, the bottom line is they're getting approvals and people are using it. And you had some good news the other day. And it's an extremely, extremely crowded short, right? Like if you're going to short one of the VAX stocks, this is the one to short. And I've been shorting it. And, I caveat, I still have a short position on with options and stock, but you have to play it. You have to play the hand that you're dealt, right? I mean, there's your level, the top of this. You can see it. We went right to it. Bonk, failed, couldn't fill the gap. Do earnings make it fill the gap? Possibly. I mean, you have a little bit of a bull flag right here, right? A little pendant. So maybe you do. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to move on earnings. I mean, look, it's an extremely high valued company and valuation wise, and there's no room for error. And, while chances, my concern with the company is this, and it's always been this, and I don't know if they're going to make a statement or not, but countries are not going to put them back on their list if they've withdrawn them. They have too many other options now. It's not like it's the only option out there, right? So that means you have decreased revenues, you have decreased earnings. And that's something that you really need to, think about. So it really is. I wouldn't be playing it into earnings. I wouldn't be playing the long side. I'll have a short position on and I'll trade around that short position. But everybody has to do what they think is best for them. For me, I wouldn't be playing it on the long side. I mean, what are they going to talk about? How much money they're making, right? Okay, so that drives the stock up. We're already aware of that. They're already tripling their net every quarter, right? So are they going to triple again this quarter, or is growth going to slow? Are they going to do $18? Probably not. So, it's not something I'd be rushing into. Yeah, I didn't. That's one I've been playing with a little bit, Brett. I've been playing with HUT, but I stayed away from it now. And I don't know why the little ones are moving better, but they are. I mean, that's very interesting how that's moving. That could just be all SPAC playing, retail playing. It doesn't really matter why, as long as you know what you own. But that does look like it could rip and go higher. I mean, that's an all-time high close, right? And we've never. Let me just go through this, make sure I'm saying is accurate. And let's get rid of these. Yeah, I mean, you've never closed there. That's an all-time high close. And you completely engulfed and got rid of all that wick. And your volumes increased over the month. So, I mean, that's pretty clean on HUT. I mean, that's very, very clean on HUT. It's hard to say that you don't see that. You definitely see that. It's hard not to. Hey, Miguel. So, Overstock? Sure, let's do Overstock. Overstock. So Overstock right here, you can see what's going on, right? You have your little breakout, you run up, you had your earnings, they did well on the earnings. Look, this has been a very misunderstood company, and there's massive potential here, like massive. And let's get rid of everything and just focus on what's actually could be happening here. It's not something I played because I was playing so many other names, but if we draw this here and we say that this is an anomaly and there's your evening star and you've completed that, you've come down, right? And you're here, and then we're using that line because we're here and here, right? So and you're hitting more spots, in other words, is where I'm going with it. So you could make that argument that you want to use that line. Let's say, okay, I don't want to use that line. Let's put the other one in because I say I want to use the peaks. Okay, either way, right? Either way, you're above them. So that's very interesting to me. And that what we're seeing here more than anything is you're seeing companies that have had good numbers. You're seeing companies that have had good numbers. You're seeing them being rewarded, and it's usually taking a couple days. Like we've seen it with, like here, you've seen it with like Netflix, right? Where Netflix has good numbers and then it doesn't go anywhere. And then it takes a day where it just kind of like lulls around, now it's up $100, it's up $90 from there. I mean, it's crazy, right? Or $80 from there. So we've seen it with Tesla, right? On earnings, drops down and then all of a sudden reverses, decides it's going to go. And, that's all based upon this day. Oh, it's not going to go. And now you're up here, right? So you just keep that in mind. I mean, yeah, that could definitely happen. So I would definitely have that on my radar. And I wouldn't be looking for much out of it either. I mean, I think the only thing that you have to really focus on is just this higher high, right? All you're looking for is like 97.50. I mean, that's really all you want out of it. Because if you see that, you're going to see people jump in. And then you just have to watch this level, 103. You start clearing that and it's on. And you'll start seeing people start to panic and everything else. So I definitely would be watching that. And also, doesn't W have earnings this week? So, I mean, that's going to be another catalyst for that stock, November 3rd. It always trades off of how Wayfair goes. So something to think about there. Hey, Cameron. Let's do Amazon AM and PayPal. Let's do it. So Amazon to me acted very good. And frankly, there were too many names that I was trading on Friday. So I stayed away from anything that was regrouping. And I'll be interested if there's follow through tomorrow. If there's follow through tomorrow over that 50-day, let's get rid of this. You could get back up to these levels pretty fast. So that's very interesting, to say the least, right? Because that's 100 points. So there's probably a 3% move there, and so in an option trade that could yield a lot. And here's this break, and you can see how you acted to it. Let's just put this here for now. We can draw this minor one right here. You just kind of see how they're all fitting in the same area, crossing right there. So the question becomes, what do you do? I think what you need to do is just see if it gets a higher high tomorrow. But, this did the same thing. Apple did the same thing, right? So I think people are shrugging it off knowing that they're going into their best quarter. I think that's what's happening. I think that's what you're saying. MasterCard, I'm not so sure what happened here. Their earnings were not what they thought they were going to be. Maybe they projected outward. I'm not so sure, but that's somewhat surprising for MasterCard for me. From where you're at up here, 400 to 335. Usually the stock doesn't have moves like this. It just kind of, you did on the pandemic, obviously, but you usually just grind higher and then it goes from there. So that's how I view it. And that's how I would look at it. But it's not something I'd be playing with. Let's do PayPal, and then I'll do ZBRA. So I had a long position on this on Friday, and I closed it. Look, you had this little wick right here. This was my trade. I had this right here, this little wick. I thought we could go. I bought that breakout. It didn't work, and I just got out. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to hang around for this. And I'm kind of glad I didn't. That looks awful. So I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if it's being driven down by pins or you're seeing something going on in the credit market that we need to concern ourselves about. Is there some exposure out there that here's Visa, right? Is this what's driving it? Transactions? I'm not sure, but nobody wants to be in this. They can't move fast enough. So I don't know if they're using, they decided that they're not going to buy. They came out and said, we're not going to buy pins, but this move is just staggering to me. So that just keeps going. So it's not something I anticipated. for sure. Let's keep going. Wow, I'm behind. Okay, let's just start. Zebra. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching this stock because it was such a winner, and I really don't understand why it kind of fell out of favor, but it did, right? So you really just kind of pulled back and sold down here. You broke your major channel. You're trying to build, but you're still under this 50-day. You need to see what earnings are. You need to see how people react to the earnings. I mean, that's what you need to see. Until then, yeah, they're saying the second. So I would wait and see before I do anything there. That's acting like they're going to have bad earnings. I mean, it actually is acting like someone figured it out here, and that's maybe they started moving. I don't know, but you broke that trend line, and that was it, right? You can see that. If I get rid of these indicators, you can see this trend line, and you hit it, and you could actually even extrapolate it out and draw it out, so you can see a little bit how it tried a couple times to get over that line and just couldn't. Here, look. See how you couldn't get over it? Bonk, comes around, bonk, bonk, and then it breaks. Now you have an island. That island breaks down, right? So then you have an island reversal, a bearish island reversal, which is more common. And then you can't get above that level. So it's definitely not something that I would be digging into, Robert. Oh, I think Tesla's got so much potential. I really do. I think chart wise, it's got so much potential. The more I look at it, I don't know if it squeezes or not based upon that. I know people are out there buying. I know people are out there buying leaps going out, 1500s, going out a year or two, 1600s. I mean, I was looking at some of that stuff, and you can really see that. I mean, you could really see the volume increasing on it. Now, whether or not that lasts or that affects it, I really don't know. But you could go out there and really take a look at what's going on. I was really kind of surprised. People going out that far, but they definitely were. They're definitely going out that far. So, it's kind of interesting to see, but it's happening. It's definitely happening. You got people out there buying the 1150s. It's kind of crazy, but they're out there. And huge spreads on them too. So it's not like you can get out. I'm just looking at the spreads on them. They're huge. So to me, I think this has massive potential. I really do. And this is exactly what you wanted to see. You wanted to work off this wick because wicks are price rejection, and you did just that. So I think it's got huge potential. I think it's just getting started, frankly. But we'll see. Coin, Affirm, SPSC. So Coin has earnings coming up, right? And that is the 9th. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. Okay. For me, the bigger issue is this little area that I just can't get through. I flipped resistance here, right, to support. We can see that, right? Comes down, tests, but now you have this up here and you just keep hitting it. So you're really going to have to see how that plays out. I'm not really a buyer of this until I break out of that. I do think they're going to benefit greatly from the NFT market. I think people are getting very frustrated with the app to open up accounts, to utilize the app. They seem to be having major problems. So from what people are telling me, and from some of what I read on social media. Affirm got a little bit of a bump because of LC. Again, I think you're extrapolating things out. You're not really, if you look at what's going on there with Affirm, look, you're not really doing anything, right? I mean, your wicks are up and maybe it finally goes, but right now you just don't have anything. I mean, you have this line, and this line really is a rising wedge, and rising wedges usually end with that hanging man pattern, the frozen rope. So, which is bearish. So I'm not really crazy about jumping into that here. That's not overly appealing that's not overly appealing action. The red bar is still in control, right? It's still holding everything in. It's still encapsulated. This whole body is still encapsulated in all these bars. So I don't see a reason to jump on in there yet. So this is just looks like it was earnings and it was a disaster. I think it's great that you bounced. I'm happy for the people that they didn't get annihilated, but that's not something that I would buy. It was a trade there. I mean, here's your first 5 minutes straight down, and then you bounced here, right? You undercut that, right? You can see that, right? There's your little kicker bar, and then you got above it, and then it went. So, I mean, I get it, but it's just not something that I would buy. But I can see that. I mean, there was definitely a trade there, but do you really want to be in this? Probably not. I mean, usually these continue. That usually continues down. That doesn't usually decide to change course. So maybe you'll build at the 50-day. You have to see if that 50-day holds. If that does, that's great. If it doesn't, you have to go. Bbkcf. Let's take a look. Bbkcf. So, I mean, for me, like everyone knows how I feel about these, these smaller companies. But for me, this little level right here, from here to here, we got to break out and get up to here. Right? You got to break this first before you do anything. And then you're looking at this 180 level. But, it's just speculation. I don't really know what they do. I have no idea. But, you're just playing a little penny stock. Maybe it breaks, maybe it goes. But you need to flip over that level. I think you're going to continue to see that weakness. I don't think that you're going to see, you have to understand something. What percentage of Caterpillar and I was thinking about this. What percentage of Caterpillar and John Deere equipment was going over to Asia, right? I mean, their real estate market's imploding. So that means globally there could be real estate issues, which means you don't need industrial equipment, right, for building infrastructure, et cetera. If no infrastructure bill passed here, then you don't need the equipment, and I think that's what you're seeing, and I think that's what you have to see here. So I wouldn't do anything here with that. We can look at BA, but I think BA has massive issues. I think that these issues have been severely hurt by companies or by the reputation, by that 757 MAX airliner. I think that it has just destroyed their reputation. And you have people that are literally looking for that Dreamliner. They actually had to change the name of it because people weren't even fly on it. So, they're saying, I want to fly on an Airbus or whatever. But you have to watch this. That's not where you want to be for a company. And that doesn't look and bode very well. So it's definitely not something I'd be going near. I'd be waiting for this to break and possibly shorting it. Thoughts on Playboy? Let's take a look. Okay, I'm way behind on this tonight, aren't I? So Playboy. This was on the list. I had this out there. I can get rid of this. And you need to get above 30. I mean, I'm just going to make it simple. We got above the 50. We got above the 200. We got above the 50. 21 became support. You got to get above that 30-day. Get above 30. If you get above 30, it gets interesting. So that's what I would look for there. Yep, watermark's in now. It's probably I know that was from before. Workday MTTR. Yeah, I mean, look, this MTTR is just, I think it's just getting momentum because of somehow they're equating it to some other company. I'm not really sure how they're doing it, but when that party ends, this will come in. I mean, you have earnings coming out November 3rd. Do you really want to buy it before earnings? Probably not. I mean, I don't want to buy it before earnings. But if you have a long bar like this and you get above this bar, you will see people rushing into it. If you get above that level, right? If you can get above that level, you will see people rushing into it. That's for sure. There's no question about it. Workday looks great. I mean, there's not really much to say. You know, there's definitely nothing negative to say. That's for sure. I mean, look at it. You broke out. Here was your range. You broke out. And now you're going higher. Your volume's starting to increase a little bit. I mean, it's doing everything right. So I don't see sense to do anything there. I like it. I like that a lot. You know, that could be a decent winner. That could be, I mean, you've been basing for a long time, right? I mean, go back and think about where you could even say the base started, right? Let's say it started here, up, this becomes support, right? You're out to, it's been a year base, where it's just bouncing around. So this could absolutely go higher. There's no question about it. You could definitely see that. Yeah, you have to look at the earnings. I have a ton of earnings names we haven't even touched yet that I think are going to come out this week. ATEN, you know, Net's coming out this week. Race is coming out this week. You know, I mean, like stuff like this, it's almost look. It came out with earnings. They obviously were great. There is nothing you can do here if you didn't buy off the open, right? Except, right, unless you did some kind of trade where you bought off the open. And then you can kind of drill down into it. And, you know, we go over this in the trading room a lot, but there's your buy, right? And then from there, you're up, right? So you've done what you're supposed to do. Now you just kind of have to stay with it and see if it works or if it doesn't work. So for me, you know, there's a trade there. You have to see if it takes that high out. And maybe it does. You know, that's pretty powerful, that move. And what was the volume like, the relative volume? Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Not great. So, but you have to watch that level. I mean, that's really what you're looking for. And it looks like it's going to push because it did it at the end, which means you had probably institutional buying. So just use that line. And then if you want to play it for a trade, which is really all you can do now, you got to get through 1905. So EPAM. So this looks good. This looks great. Look at this. But you're coming in the earnings. So you have to make a decision. I mean, that's a decision only you can make. I do like how the volume's starting to increase as people are buying it before earnings, but you have to make that decision about, do I want to be in something for earnings or not? MQ. Yeah, I was looking at this and, you know, it looked like it was going to go and then it rejected. It hit that 35 and just bounced right off of it. You know, you're kind of wedged in here. You're going to have to see how this plays out. These wicks are kind of, when I see wicks like this, it just makes me very uncomfortable to take any kind of position because these wicks have to be worked off before it'll go higher. I'm not thinking about it. I mean, look, I actually thought there was a possibility, looking at the charts, that the Qs and the SPY were going to take a break and TNA was going to lead. I mean, you know, IWM was going to lead. I'm not so, you know, I'm pretty sure that that's obviously not the case now. Now here, look, let's do this and pull this down. So, I mean, this is where you're at. And let me just squeeze this down a little bit more, drop this. And here. So this is where you're at from January going across. And I could just draw a quick line so you can see where I'm at. I mean, you're not going anywhere. You haven't been going anywhere. So I don't know why it would this time. I keep thinking it's going to every time it makes a higher high here. And these highs keep pointing up, but it just doesn't seem to be going. So I would hold off on that. The beta is stocks have an assigned beta value based upon how they act to the market. High beta stocks, high beta stocks move with the market. So in other words, let's say that Tesla has a beta of 2 and the NASDAQ goes up 1%. Theoretically, just off of that, Tesla would be up 2%, right? It's just the way to look at it. How that stock reacts to the underlying index is what beta is. Yeah, I definitely think there's some issues there. So Bbkcf. This one's kind of hard to do, isn't it? Because like we were talking about this one Friday afternoon, and I was watching this level, and this is all I was watching. Hold on one second. I put that back. Sorry about that. I was watching this level and just watching what was going on with it. And then as soon as you cleared it, and you can see why these lines are so important when you draw them correctly, because you failed, right? So you don't buy, failed again. And then boop, as soon as you got over that little high, you knew you were going to go, right? So you have this, you have the smaller one, and then you have the follow through, that bar right there. You know that this pattern is going to, it's very rare for this pattern not to work, right? The probability of that pattern not working is pretty minuscule. So as soon as it did that, you kind of knew you had something on your hands. And it acted great. After hours, you traded all the way up to 46 before coming back down to 39. So you actually are down after hours on the trade. I don't know where you're going to open. Nobody knows where this is going to open. Saying anything different I'd just be lying. I have no idea where this opens. But for me, I think that it's something that you could definitely put on your watch list. I think it could be crazy on tomorrow. So, and we're going to have to see how that plays out. But it could be very busy. Thanks, Shock. I appreciate that. If everyone could do me a favor and hit the like button and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, it helps me. I'm trying to get in front of more people. There's a lot of people out there that are just, lost, for lack of a better word, and just don't know where to even start. So I'm trying to help people out here. BTBT, I already did. And maybe you saw that because I know I'm behind. You're welcome, Delo. MECLH. So I'll speed this up. And we're coming in on that 730 number. I like this. And I still like this. This doesn't change my opinion. I mean, if anything, look, wicks are what? Price rejection. Okay. We cut it, undercut it, didn't go. Get above this now. Right? Wait and see if you can get above this level. If you can get above that level, right, you're in good shape. Okay? If you can get above that level, you're in good shape. That's what I would look for. You might flip that level. I don't think this is going to stop. I don't think this volume is going to stop. I'm trying to figure out the right way to explain it, but I mean, it's not the most endearing, right? It's not the most endearing because people that watched that candlestick video that I posted would recognize this as what, right? A bearish hook reversal. So in order for that to revert, you have to break the top of this. And I think that might happen. So I would keep my eye on it, but I wouldn't be touching it until then. CLH has just been very fickle and very hard. And I just haven't seen a shot. I haven't seen it yet. Now you have earnings coming up on the 11th, but you just have wick after wick after wick after wick after wick. And is that something that I really want to be involved with? Probably not. So I've just been sitting on the sidelines with it. Now, if we throw in the 8-day, you can kind of see you're just kind of going flat. You're flatlining, right? So the flatlining, you're coming into the averages and you're flatlining. If you want to pick a direction and have an understanding, this is one of the leading indicators. There's another leading indicator I'm going to do a video on shortly, but it's just way more complex. So, but I've been asked to do a little more advanced stuff. But what are you seeing? You're seeing that drop. What's going on here? It's going flat. You don't want to close below this 50. Okay, because it'll switch the entire dynamics of the trade. So I did. Hey, swing. So let's get to here. MA suffering fatigue. I don't think that's what it is. I think that's earnings and something else. I mean, to buy any of these things are probably zeros. Like these fintech companies, they are just outright disasters. And I wouldn't be jumping into these. I wouldn't be going near these, right? I don't know. I don't know what's doing it on MA. I mean, maybe it is affecting them somehow, right? And I just don't know about it. So I'm going to jump to the front here, and then and then we'll go from there. If I missed your question, please repost it. If it hasn't been in the past 5 minutes, because I'm going to do that. I'm going to just jump ahead here because I got behind. They're all building chips here. No, they're not going to do anything to screw with that sector. Zero to screw with that sector. I mean, Taiwan Semi's building a facility in Texas. So, I mean, that's already out there. Hey, Jay. What are you doing holding net before earnings? Look, you should be up in it. Caveat, I have a position in net. Just FYI. I think you're going to at least get to this level before earnings. I actually think you get to this level before earnings, right? Earnings are the fourth. From where I'm in on the little trade, I won't be doing anything more than just watching it and kind of trying to figure out where to get in. But this channel is massive and it's big and it's over a year long. So I think you can get to this. Do I think you can break it before earnings? Anything's possible. Listen, you're going to start seeing a lot of people start buying in this market, start chasing performance because they're going to look really bad at the end of the year. And maybe after earnings, if this comes down, you should look at it. So, that's how I look at it. Hey, Cobra. PCG and Dis. Well, Disney has a leadership issue, right? This actually looks like it's getting itself together. You have earnings, tomorrow, I think it was? Yeah. So you have earnings tomorrow on this. Maybe look at it after earnings. You have to understand something about this company. Okay, they got blamed for the wildfires in California. Whether or not they had anything to do with it or not, I don't know. But I would be really very interested if this gets above this 50. So you might want to remember that, Cobra, if you're interested in this. See this level right here? If this RSI can get above 50, which it has not been since it started its decline, right? If it can do that, you probably want to start paying attention. And what you can see here as well on the monthly, this is what's been going on. Now, stock's kind of following that, but that's kind of telegraphing what's going to happen here. So this could be a big winner. It could be a really big winner. So something to consider for sure. And Disney, look, Disney got killed with production because Disney didn't get it together in regards to, that's the monthly, and we can look at the monthly, and then I can drill down for you. But Disney didn't get it together during COVID, like at all. Like all these other places were out there. Netflix finding out, okay, we can film in Romania. You can't film here. We'll go to Romania. Like Netflix figured it out. A lot of these companies figured out where they could film, what the requirements were. They put precautions in place, and they did it. Now, with that said, Disney did not do that. Disney's coming out and saying, "Oh, production's bad. We can't be in the theater. COVID's slowing everything down." Nobody wants to hear that anymore. You've had 18 months, 19 months to get it together. Just like none of us want to hear it from. It doesn't matter who's in politically. We don't want to hear it anymore. You're paid to fix things. Fix it. And the CEO and the C-level people are paid to fix things. Fix it. and they're not. And so this is what you're getting. I mean, I hate to be that cavalier with it, but I think you're going to break. I think you're going to break, head to this level, and I think you could break again. I think that Disney has some real issues here. If you can't turn out hits, what good is the company? Because that's where they make their money. Marvel movies. They kill it on Marvel movies. They're certainly not killing it on their parks right now. And their app is busy, but that's got not that app doesn't make anywhere near the money that the movies make. And the movies funnel traffic to the app. So they have an issue. LAC and ZIM. Hey, Alberto. So, I mean, that just looks awesome. There's not much to say about it. It just looks great. You know, everything's pointing in the right direction. You're getting volume. You know, you're closing above where you need to close above. There's very little negative to say about that chart. You know, it's just a slow mover, but it looks beautiful, and it's done exceptionally well. So, and you know, with all the EV companies out there, it's going to do nothing but go up. I mean, we're not going to have. Think about it this way, Alberto. You're not going to have less EV companies, right? Or let me rephrase that. You are going to have less EV companies. No different than when we had the combustion engine, and you had all these different companies, and then you wind up with Ford and GM and, you know, Mercedes, et cetera. But you're not going to be making less cars. You'll be making more cars. I think people are grossly underestimating places like, you know, you saw an order from Hertz for the Uber drivers to rent a car. People are grossly underestimating that business when all the Uber drivers realize that they should be doing this to save money. And it's a huge, you think Hertz is going to be the only one to do it? No, Avis is going to do it. Okay. All of a sudden, what they're doing is converting taxis, which is what the Ubers are, right, into electrical vehicles. It's sickly brilliant. People are grossly underestimating. So anyway, that's my little pitch on lithium. So look right here. You're trying. Maybe it goes this time. You know, maybe it goes. To me, the thing with ZIM that's very frustrating is it doesn't trade as the shipping companies are trading. And I find it kind of maddening. Get above this and get above this wick, 52.85, and then I would look at it, Alberto. Not until then. Hey, John. No, I didn't do it yet, buddy. Car. I like it. I like it right here. I like it right here. You have earnings. you have earnings, it looks like tomorrow. So it's on you, right? But look, and it didn't do too good last earnings, and this might be a reason for people to take profit. But this little wedge, I love these. That little wedge, there's your tick, right? I mean, there's your buy, and then the low of that bar, 173, 168, that's your stop. I mean, that's your trade. Either works or it doesn't. So that's how you have to look at it. But I do like it. I like that trade. But you have earnings. So I got an Apple. Hey, Lucas, I got an Apple before earnings. Huge mistake. It's all right. You just bought before earnings. It happens. I mean, think of it as tuition, man. We've all been there. I've done way worse. Should I leave it now, losing a bit, or is there a chance it goes back up? I actually think it goes back up. I probably would have played it if everything else wasn't acting as good as it was. My thought on it is, and I'll just show you this. We bought this down here on that news when it reversed in the trading room, right? So for those that are in there, that's where we did it. Now, I didn't raise the target on it. I mean, I can address that. It's not proprietary. But in regards to why I didn't do that, it was relatively simple. I want to see follow through. So my advice to you, Lucas, and let me click off of this. My advice to you, Lucas, is to see if you get follow through tomorrow on Apple. Because if you get follow through on Apple tomorrow, I'm probably increasing my position in it. Candidly, you know, if I get what I think could happen tomorrow in Apple and also in Amazon, I would probably start a short-term position in Amazon. But Apple can do that. And then if Apple can get above this on bad news, which I think it can, because I think people are playing Apple for next quarter already. I think people realize, you have to understand, Apple's $1 trillion company, right? They don't have shipping issues. They'll go buy shipping containers and fix it themselves and go buy a port somewhere. Like they're not going to put up with what's going on out in the Pacific. They're going to figure it out. Just like they had ships come into, they started having ships come into Florida, going up to the Suez Canal. Money always finds a way. So they know that they're going to figure it out because it's a good management company. It's probably one of the best run management companies out there. So I wouldn't be selling. I'd see if it does what I think it can do, right? Which is what I just said, breakout. AMBA, but you need to see a higher high. If you don't see a higher high and you start taking out that 50-day, get out of it. But if you take out the 50-day, get out. But I'd give it. I'd stay in it now. You're in it now. And it's starting to go your direction. I just don't like how small it's getting and what it's doing. But I do think you can get up to here. I still think you can get up there. I don't like how this is crossing down here. We really don't want this to pop back under that 70 line. So just watch it. But I do think there could be a trade there, but it's risky. It's definitely risky. I think it's going to be semiconductors. I really do. I think that if you take a look at what's going on in the semiconductor space right now, I think they're going to be on fire. I think it's the right names are going to be on fire. You're seeing these getting tired. You're seeing these names getting tired, right? They're not running up. Like this is a double top, right? This is cloud. This is software. That's forming a double top. Doesn't mean it can't break it, but look at this. Like this, I have a cup. I had a little handle. And now I'm breaking higher. What's this look like? It looks like the NASDAQ, right? What's this doing? This is pointing up and it's not even overbought yet, right? We just got above 50, came back, tried to get below it, couldn't, back up. I'd be all over semis. So let's just keep going. SLI, I don't know that one. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this up. Let me just get through the list here, and then we're gonna go from there. SLI, yeah, I mean, I would just watch that. I don't understand why it's down. I don't understand the differentiations between these lithium companies. Just being honest, I just don't. The other chart was, what was that? LAC. I mean, that just looks so much better. So I don't know why that's down. Let's just go. Last one for the night. TSM stopped. Yeah, you don't buy TSM like that. You have to buy TSM when it's ugly. So you have to understand that TSM is a foundry, right? So that foundry, they're already booked. All their business is probably booked out to 2024. I think they already said to 2023 they're at capacity. But this isn't when you buy it. And you certainly don't buy it when it's riding the 50-day. You don't go near it, right? Because who buys it the 50-day? Institutions. Well, if institutions don't want it, why do you want it, right? When do you buy this, right? And we've been talking about this over and over again, but let's just go through it. You buy these value plays when they're at support levels. When you have a stock, let's just go through this because this is important for people to understand, not just for this stock, but forever, right? When you have a stock that is trendless, and this is trendless, right? Bonk, 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 right? It's all trendless. What does that mean? Right? It means that I need to be looking at support and resistance levels. Buy at supports, right? Sell at resistances. Buy at supports, sell at resistances. You could have made a fortune all year just doing this trade. So, and that trade's still there. So right now you're in limbo. I wouldn't sell it and I wouldn't buy it. So I hope that's clear. Oh, you're welcome, Alberto. Have a great night. LSPD. Yep, LSPD. So you're just sitting right there, right? Maybe it goes, maybe it doesn't. I'd be very cautious here. And I'd sure as hell would not be in this going into earnings. That's a call that only you can make. And look, some of these earnings calls, it's done quite well, right? And some of them, not so much. So I'd be really careful here. It depends if you're up on it or not up on it. If you're not up on it, you're taking a tremendous risk being in that for earnings, because that's a $10 move at a minimum, one way or another. Hey, Anna. VRTX. So, yeah, I wouldn't go near this. I don't like stocks that are doing this, Anna. I know you probably have some type of pharmaceutical reason why you're looking at it. You probably know more than I do on the fundamental side, but it's not something that I would buy just watching this 50-day. Because, like, look, let's just get rid of this, right? We can get rid of this one. Let's just look at the 50-day. Every single time we get to that 50-day, what happens? Every single time, right? We just sell down. So it's not something I would go near. Yeah, I mean, I would probably, you could totally do that, right? Like, you could totally do that, Robert. Like, for me would have been my stop. I would have sold the day that it broke the 50-day. The day that I closed below the 50-day, I'd be out, right? I probably would be out. So I probably would have been out already. Just the day it closed below the 50-day would have been enough for me. Like, okay, that's enough. This is all I'm going to get out of it. I'm not going to get this move. I'm going to get this move. But you could use that. You could still use 113. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using 113. You're using a number, and I have the line right there. So, I mean, it's 6 1/2 at this point. It's $1. So you can use that line. So, all right, everybody. I will be live tomorrow around 8:30 to go over what we say overnight. Any questions? Reach out. Please comment Please comment on this on what educational videos you want to see, because I'm working on an advanced one now, but I don't know how much interest there's going to be in it. So that's it. Everyone, have a great evening.